So today I'm going to talk about the connection with the 8th chakra and the collective awakening that we are currently in. And the first thing I want to do is define the collective awakening and that time frame, because I know many of you are going to already just put it to the COVID-19 that we're experiencing right now. And actually, we've been in a collective awakening. It's just that COVID-19 has brought this to the surface in a way that is bringing more awareness that something's changing in our world. And like with anything that happens in our lives, you know, there's a lot of times events and situations that come up that bring us to another level of awareness, and sometimes we are hit with some type of chaos or crises, and that is how it comes to be for us in awakening consciousness. So we have the collective awakening right now that's occurring, and that has been occurring, and that will continue to occur. And then we have the 8th chakra, and this is something that I've never really talked about. And so I think it is so important for me to talk about it now because of the timing of everything. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit. I'm going to go back to the year 2004. And in 2004, I entered into a coursework program for 3 years, and the work was with Carolyn Mace, and the work that I studied was sacred contracts, and that had everything to do with our soul contract. And what I learned back then for the first time, I actually learned what the 8th chakra was. And so for the next 3 years, what I did is study the work of that 8th chakra, which has to do with our soul contract, has to do with, it's the archetypal realm. It's where the information of why our soul has incarnated lies. It's like the blueprint. And so what's happening right now and what has been going on is that people are awakening to a deeper sense of themselves. They're awakening to this part of themselves that knows that they are here to serve in some way. And that's an 8th chakra awakening. So a lot different than the 7th, right? Because the 7th has to do with our connection to God, divinity, higher source, universal energy, life force, spirit, where the 8th chakra has to do with our actual contract. So what I want to invite you to do as a listener is to tap into that place within yourself that you know resonates inside of you with something that you feel a sense of purpose about. And in that, I don't want you to make it about service. I don't want you to make it about that external thing that you think that you need to do. I want you to make it about connecting to the beingness of self, because that's the initial stage that the soul goes through in order for it to understand its contract here in this incarnation. And so many times people will come to me and ask me as an astrologer, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I here to do? And that cannot be answered from an external place. That has to be answered from an internal place. And so that internal place is that 8th chakra. It's where the information of the soul, what's considered the causal body, right? So the causal body is that container in which the soul resides. So our work is to tap into that, and to tap into it is just that. It's an inward journey. It's the inward journey to understand our beingness. And when we understand our beingness, as we begin to really get in touch with that, and that begins to resonate with us, what happens is that life conspires series of patterns that help us to see where we are to direct ourselves on this life path. What I call the soul path, what I call is our soul devotion here, what I call is part of the soul development. So in this time of awakening for us, the 8th chakra is something that is really, really crucial for us to tap into and to understand on a deeper level, to know that we're not just the 7 chakras of our body, we're actually more than that. And so there is a place there waiting for us. There is a place where our soul resides, and within that, our sense of purpose within it. And purpose is to be looked at from 2 different perspectives here. It's to be looked at purpose like I said earlier, in that connection to that oneness of self, that purpose for the reason the soul is here, not in an external doing kind of a experience, but on a being kind of experience. So I think that I want to just say this one last, not I think, I'm going to say this one last thing, and that is to go inward is to go inward and up. If we are looking outside for the answers, we're not going to find them. We're going to be spinning our wheels. We're going to feel frustrated. At times we might even feel hopeless. And it's that passion inside of us that's also part of that soul connection. It's part of that soul communication within us. It's that drive that we have inside of us. That's that little voice sometimes, that feeling inside of our body that we know that it's like, we'll ask the question, is this it? It's like, no, this isn't it. There is more. So, food for thought. I hope this was of some help for you. Namaste.